Well, good morning, grade 10. Great to be here this morning on Wednesday, March 18th. I hope you guys are all enjoying being at home, but now it's time to study. I'm joined with Mr. Omar.
Hi there. Hi everyone.
And today we're going to be having discussions about using subject-verb agreements.
Yeah.
Now, you might have seen that most sentences do have a subject and verb. So we're going to recognize the subjects and the verbs and make sure that they're in agreement. So we're going to start off with this sentence, then we're going to move to phrases or clauses between subjects and verbs, indefinite pronouns, compound subjects, solving common agreement problems, subjects after verbs, expressions of amount, plural forms, don't and doesn't.
But this sounds too much Anthony, doesn't it?
Oh, sorry.
So
So this is going to be split in two lessons, okay?
two
Two
parts.
parts.
Yeah.
So
Today
we'll just...
hopefully we'll cover the first 3 points.
Yes.
Yeah. All
and
right.
tomorrow will be the next points.
Yes.
Great. So we're going to start with subject-verb agreements. So what is subject-verb agreements? All sentences have subjects and verbs.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So can someone like to point out, or let's have a look at this sentence here. The volcano erupts. So the subject...
Yeah, I think the volcano, because it's what the sentence is about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the verb, and the doing word, the verb
very
is
good.
erupts.
Yeah, so this is the action of the verb. So can you, Mr. Anthony, can you point out what a subject is? Can you remind us what a subject is?
The subject tells whom or what a sentence is about.
Example?
The elevator is broken.
So what is broken?
The elevator.
Yeah, so the elevator
Is
is
the
to be the subject.
subject.
Yeah. All right. So
What are Harry and Lucas talking about?
who's talking and who are we asking about?
Harry and Lucas?
So who is the subject here? Harry and Lucas. And this we studied this last grammar lesson, that this is a compound subject.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what is a verb?
A verb expresses an action or a state of being. The girls saw. So the verb would have to be saw.
Yeah, because it tells us what the gulls do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Action.
So this is an action, of course.
The moon is full.
So what is the verb that expresses the state of the moon?
That one's a little tricky. I think that one's is.
Is, yeah, because it's a state or a linking verb here in this case. We'll be studying this kind of different types of verbs later on. We call this a state of verb or a state of being here. All right, so
subjects and verbs agree in number to show that they belong together.
Like?
A word that refers to one thing is singular.
Yeah, so can you elaborate more, Mr. Anthony, what does singular mean?
So if the subject and verb is singular, then it's talking about only one person or one thing, object, rather than, say, two or plural things.
I understand. Thank you. All right, so singular, like a student. How many students do we have in the picture here? Only one.
One student.
A leaf.
One
We're
leaf.
talking about one leaf. He is a pronoun, and as you guys know, that a pronoun is a little word that replaces a noun. So the pronoun he, in this case, replaces, for example, let's call this guy John here in this case. Okay? So
a word that refers to more than one is plural.
So in English, because did you know, Anthony, that in Arabic we have like singular, and we have something which is called duet, or how do you call it? Couple. And then we have plural. So we have for example, if we have a student which is talib in Arabic, so we have a word that refers to two students, which is talibain, and then we have tullab. So we have singular and how do you call it? Couple.
Yeah, couplet. Or
Yeah, couplet. Yeah, very, very good. And we have the plural. So the plural is Arabic is actually more than two, more than two, three and more.
Okay, great.
You see what I mean?
So it's interesting to note that two
Yeah.
is plural in English.
Two is plural in English,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is different from Arabic grammar. So sometimes we need to like compare Arabic with English so that it's easy to understand and grasp. So instead of one student, we're talking about here. How many students we're talking about here?
Two.
More than one.
two. Oh,
More than one.
yeah.
Two or more, yeah. And here leaves,
Leaves.
and here we are talking about they. Yeah. All right. So.
Singular subjects take singular verbs.
Yeah, an example.
Airline attends college.
So who are we talking about here? We're talking about this beautiful young lady here.
Erlene. It's
Yeah,
pronunciation.
yeah.
Erlene. I said
Yeah.
Erlene.
So what does she do?
Erlene attends college.
So who are we talking about?
Erlene
So Erling must be the subject. And what does she do?
attends.
Very good. So attends must be the verb
Verb,
here, right? Okay. Very good. So Erling is what kind of subject? Are we talking about
Singular.
one person? Yeah, so it's singular because it's one person. And how about the verb? Look at the verb. So what changes have we made to the verb if the subject is singular here, Anthony? Have you noticed?
Yeah, we've added an S.
Yeah, we added an S. What kind of S? This is the singular S, which is added to the verb. Remember,
Yes.
Anthony, because we have different types of S as inflections or as a suffix that is added to the end of the word. We have the S that signals the plural, and we have the S that signals the singular, and we have an S that signals possession. You see what I mean?
Okay.
So if the S is added to a noun, so it highlights a plural noun.
noun, yes.
If it is added to the verb,
It's
the opposite. It highlights a singular verb. And
Okay.
if it is added after an apostrophe, so
It's
it refers to possession.
Possession.
So for
Oh,
example,
possession.
whose bottle is that? It's Anthony's bottle. So this is a different S, a totally different S. So the S, if the S is added to the verb, it
becomes singular.
very good. Okay, so
He washes the dishes.
who are we talking about?
He
Yeah. What does he do?
washes.
Very good. He washes the dishes. Of course,
Dishes.
is the object here. So he is how many people? How many persons are we talking
one,
about?
so that's-
One person. So what have we done to the verb?
Added an S.
What type of S?
Singular.
Add-
verb.
because it's added to the
The
verb.
verb, yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Anthony. Yes, very good. Okay. So,
Plural subjects take plural verbs.
yeah, example.
Both women attend college.
Yeah. Who are we talking about here?
Two women.
Yeah, the two women here, all right? So more than one? This is
Yes.
plural. And what do they do?
Attend.
So where the verb? Attend.
Attend.
Right? Have we added S to the verb here?
No.
Because the subject is?
Plural.
Absolutely right. So the S, which signals a singular verb, disappears here. Why? Because we are talking about a plural verb here. All right?
Yeah, that's interesting because
Yeah.
you have to tell yourself when it's plural,
Yeah.
you don't need a plural
It's
subject.
so
You don't need
confusing,
you
isn't
don't
it?
need a plural
Yeah.
verb.
Especially to.
Well, you need a plural verb, but it's no S.
Yeah. So, but if we are talking about a noun, if we are talking about a plural, we need to add an S. If we are
Yes.
talking about the singular, we need to remove the S. So actually, we can say that noun is opposite
To
to the verb. Yeah. So in terms of adding the S. So, and we have, I think we have a tip here, Anthony, from the wonderful Grammar Girl. So we're gonna have to look at it later on after we finish with this example. So,
So they wash the dishes.
who are we talking about here?
Two people or more.
Very good. And what do they do?
Wash. So that's
Wash.
the verb.
So have you noted that the verb
It's
is
not
not
washes.
inflection? Yeah, it's not washes. It's wash because this is a plural subject. Tip. So
Grammar Girl says Generally, nouns ending in S are plural.
So we're talking about noun, remember, right? But
Verbs ending in S are singular.
so the same inflection, which is S, when it is added to the verb, to the noun, it becomes plural. When it is added to the verb, it becomes singular. Yeah, it comes with practice. It's not that hard. Yeah, it's a bit confusing, especially for non-native speakers, but it comes with the practice. All right. So singular,
So
dog.
Dog.
But what does this dog do? It barks.
Barks.
Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Very okay. So, okay, Anthony.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
continue.
continue.
Okay, great. So the noun is dog, singular, and the verb, we add an S. The plural, dogs, and we drop the S with the verb, bark. In a verb phrase, so again this is for plural subjects, in a verb phrase, the first helping auxiliary verb agrees with the subject. So let's have a look. He, which is singular, is washing, this is a verb phrase, is washing the dishes. So the object, dishes. So we have a singular subject, he, pronoun. Then we go on to a singular helping verb, is washing. So there's two verbs here, but we have a single helping verb, is. Okay? They are washing the dishes. So when it's plural, we have to say are. They are washing the dishes. We've got a plural subject, more than one. They, a plural helping, are. Great. So let's move on. Sometimes a group of words comes between the subject and the verb. So sometimes a group of words comes between the subject and the word. So let's have a look. Visitors leave their coats here. Visitors leave their coats here. So the subject, visitors, and the verb leave. But I think we're going to have a look now. Sometimes there's more words that become between these two words. So let's have a look. Yep. Visitors to the museum. So this is a group of words. To the museum. Leave their coats here. So we still have the same subject and verb. However, we have placed a group of words in between these two subject and verbs. When deciding if a verb should be singular or plural, you can usually ignore words between the verb and its subject. So when you decide if a verb should be singular or plural, you can ignore the words between the verb and the subject. So let's have a look. Yeah, so we can ignore to the museum and just look for the verb. We have the subject, visitors, and now we have the verb, leave. A book of poems is on the table. A book of poems is on the table. So, poems has to be subject. Is agrees with book, not poems. Is agrees with book, not poems. Sorry, I had that incorrect. A book is the subject, and the verb is. So yeah, see, it confused me. Of poems is a group of words that's in between the subject and verb. Great, so a book of poems is on the table. That one was a little bit tricky, because we have to remember that is the verb in that sentence. The men who own the store are brothers. The men who own the store are brothers. So let's have a look. The subject would be men. R agrees with men, not store. Mr. Omar just returned, and I had a little bit of confusion there. Before the subject and verb came about, I said the subject must be book, and the verb, I said... So I didn't pick up that it was
verb,
it,
it's a stated verb.
So we have to be careful there, and we've got to remember that this of poems
But
is...
this is also a bit confusing, Anthony. You know
Yeah.
why? Because we have to decide what we are talking about. Are we talking about the poems on only one book of poems?
No, but I actually thought the subject might be poems.
No. We're talking about the book of poems.
A book, yes.
Yeah. So is here agrees with the book, not poems, because we're not talking about poems actually. So here, for example, second example.
The men who own the store are brothers.
So who are we talking about? Are we talking about the stores? Who are brothers? The stores are brothers? No. We're talking about the men. How many men? More than one.
One.
Yeah. So
Men
that's why
are
the verb
brothers.
here is are.
Yes.
You
Subject,
get it?
verb.
Yeah, what type of verb? We're going to talk about these types of verb in a later lesson, inshallah, because this is a course which prepares students for writing.
Yes.
Yeah, and how to edit their writing. So, let's go to the practice part first, Anthony. Let's go to the practice part. Sorry? A practice part first. All right.
So identify the subject of each verb
Yeah,
in parentheses.
because this is very, very important that we identify the subject before we decide on the proper form or the correct form of the verb. So, for example, food drive donations go or goes in that box. So, are we talking about food or we are talking about donations? So, let's look at the sentence here. In that box. So, who goes in the books? Or what actually goes in the book? It's donation, not the food.
Yes.
So, we're talking about what type of subject here?
Donations.
It's a plural subject, right?
Yes.
So, should you choose a verb that has an S or a verb without an S? Remember, a verb is opposite to the noun.
Yes.
You got it?
Yes.
Yeah. So which one should we go for here?
Go.
Yes, rather than go. Do not get tricked or confused, boys, because it's a bit tricky here. It's a bit subtle here. So,
Subject.
because the subject here. So, of course, please, after you finish and check the answer to each question, please, guys, check the explanation because it's more important than doing the sentence itself. The subject is donation. The plural verb go agrees with what? Donation, because we're
Plural
talking about
subject.
which is plural subject.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's go to sentence 2.
The cost of new tires were more than we expected.
Yeah. So what is more than we expected? Is it the cost or the tires?
Tires.
No, I don't agree with you.
Sorry, no, cost.
Yeah, we are talking about the cost here.
Yes.
The cost here is singular or plural?
The cost is singular.
Yeah, that's absolutely right because we're not talking about tires.
Yes, tires is plural.
It's not the tires that are more than expected. It's the cost which was more than expected. So the verb in this case should be
Was.
and it agrees with the subject cost, of course. So let's check the answer and the explanation for that.
The subject is the cost, and
The singular
verb was agrees with singular subject cost.
That's absolutely right, Anthony. Well done. So let's move on to number 3.
The firefighters whom we saw at the grocery store shop there quickly.
Yeah, this is a bit confusing because we have more than one noun before the verb, but we shouldn't be tricked. So let's decide who shop there weekly. Are we talking about firefighters, or are we talking about us, which is we, or are we talking about the grocery store? We need to decide.
I'm going to say firefighters.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Very good. So, in this case, our subject is the firefighter. Is it plural or singular?
Plural.
Plural. So which verb should we go for? Is it shops or shop? Remember, we have an S here, so it shouldn't be repeated twice.
Yes.
We shouldn't repeat the same S twice or the same mistake twice.
So,
okay.
So now the
The verb is shop. Yeah,
yes.
that's absolutely right. Good. So, let's take the answer first. So, the subject is firefighters. That's why the subject is firefighter. The plural verb shop agrees with the plural subject firefighter. Okay, let's go to exercises, although I think we should leave it to our dear students, but we still have a bit of time. Okay, so let's have a go with this.
For each of the following sentences, choose the correct form of the verb in parentheses.
Yeah, so
The posters in that box need or needs new frames.
So what we need to decide. Remember, Anthony, remember my dear students, what do we need to decide what need to or needs to new frame? Is it the box or the posters in the box?
I'd say the posters.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So it's a plural.
Yes, so
Noun,
it's plural.
subject.
So therefore we need a sing.
So it has an S. So
Yes.
we don't need to add more S's. We've had enough S's for this
One
sentence.
sentence.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah. So yeah, let's check the answer here. I hope it doesn't show. Yes. Okay.
So the posters in that box need new frames.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So let's move on to number 2.
A container of pens sits beside the phone.
So what is beside the phone? Is it the pens or the container?
Ooh, that's a little tricky. A container of pens.
Yes.
I'm going to say container.
Yes, you're spot on, Anthony. Very good. So which does container has an S?
No.
So we haven't had any S's yet.
Nope.
So we need to go for which verb? The one without or the one with an S?
The one with the S.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Anthony. So
A container of pens
Yeah.
sits beside the phone.
yeah. Very good. Very good, boys.
The magazines that need to be returned to the library are on the table.
So what's on the table again? We need to ask ourselves this question again and again, time and again. So are we talking about the magazines or are we talking about the library or yeah,
I think
we are
the
talking
magazines
about,
are the
so
subject.
does it have an S?
Yes.
So we have had enough S's for this sentence. So we should go for R, which is funnily enough, S is also also ends with an S.
Yes.
So it's like likes.
Yeah.
Although it's different, it's irregular, but it ends with an S. So we have had enough S's so we don't need you for this sentence. Rather than this, we need R, which is better here.
So the magazines that need to be returned to the library are on the table.
Wonderful, boys. So let's move on to number 4.
Students who volunteer at the fall festival receives 2 free tickets.
Again, Anthony, remember, we need to ask ourselves the same question, which is, who receives 2 free tickets? Is it students or is it festival?
Students.
Very good. Students is?
Plural.
Very good. Okay.
So therefore, we would need the verb to be
Because we've had enough S's for this sentence.
receive.
Yeah, very good. So, the sentence should be like,
Students who volunteer at the fall festival receive 2 free tickets.
wonderful boys. Number 5.
The picture of the elephants was or were a gift.
The picture of the elephants. So, are we talking about elephants? Have we been given elephants as a gift? Or we have been given the picture as a gift?
Elephants would be nice, but
Yeah.
I think picture is the
Do you
gift.
like elephants, Anthony?
I do like
I think it's a
elephants.
very nice creature.
Yeah, they're
Although
very-
it's big and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's so nice. Okay, so the picture, yeah. So we are talking about, as you said, an elephant. I wish it were the elephant, but unfortunately it's not. So we are talking about the picture here. So the picture, and funnily enough, was also ends with.
An S.
Aha. So every S added to a verb or at the end of the verb highlights or signal that this verb is singular. Take it as a rule here, although it's a crazy rule, but it's okay. So we're talking about the picture was a gift. So let's see the answer.
The picture of the elephants was a gift.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Thank you guys. I think this is all what we have for the time available. We are almost 26 minutes. So I hope this lesson is easy for everyone, and it's a very, let's call it a flash lesson.
Flash lesson, but
Yeah,
no, it's a good rule to follow.
Yeah.
These,
So that we
rural
give them an opportunity, because the coming part of the lesson is a bit confusing, so they need to be on solid ground before we move on. So
Right.
please, I strongly recommend that you do go and practice before we move on with the next part of the lesson, Anthony. What do you think?
Great, I think that's a
Because
good
we
idea.
have like indefinite pronouns, and these kind of pronouns are so confusing, and we also have sentence which has phrases that separates between the subject and the verb, so we need to decide who is who and which is which. It's a bit confusing, but if you have the basics which we have studied today, it should be easy for everyone. Anthony?
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we will be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
With the next part of the lesson.
And hopefully in a couple of days we'll be able to meet these lads live like
online.
we do live online.
Yeah, it would be great to see you guys
Yeah.
live online.
Yeah.
If you could get up a little bit earlier
Yeah.
and have a chat with us.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have a very good day.